Hi, so I hope your Saturday is as fun as mine. We are going to be looking at trigonomic formulae today, particularly the first two. We're going to look at this one and this one, and I don't really call that in very well. That is my addition formulae. So it's when you're putting, sine of 20 plus sine of 30 together, what would that give me? Sine of x plus sine of 2x, what would that give me? So we're adding together, two sines or two cosses, and how would we solve that? The questions are quite straightforward actually, so it's a nice question to do. There's a question we're going to go for later on, which I suggest you're going to miss it out and leave it to the end because it can be hard to spot the answer. But this is a nice question because if you look, the questions are all very similar. We've usually got a right angle triangle, right angle triangle, right angle triangle, and then a sort of tricky one at the end. And we're asked to find what is sine r, what is sine q, but then we're asked to use our addition formulae. So it just says determine this. So you can see what the addition formula actually means. What's the value of sine q take away r? So if I was to do sine q take away r, well, there's sine q and there's sine r. So the same, well, what's the value of this bit in here? And that's what our formula will help us do. If I was to do sine q take away sine r, I'm going to get this. Okay. So yeah, we'll just make a start then. So first thing you do with these questions, you draw your triangles out. You've got a right angle triangle and a right angle triangle. Draw your triangles out. I'm going to be lazy because it's already drawn for me, so I'm just going to highlight my triangles. So I've got this triangle here, one in red. So I know I've got 2, and I've got root 13. Yeah, root 2 and root 13. Why just maybe, I'll not do that, it's a bit messy, isn't it? I will highlight it red, that's what I'll do. So I know I've got 2 and root 13. There's 2 and there's root 13. I want to find this length here. I want to find the height of this triangle. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And this is like triangle Q. So to get x, I'm going to say, well, x squared is simply root 13 all squared, take away 2 squared. So x squared is 13, take away 4. So x squared is 9, so x is 3. So I know that this length up here is 3. So that's my first triangle. That's triangle Q. I've then got triangle R. Now I think I will actually just for neatness, I think I will just redraw triangle R over here with my incredibly straight lines, as regular viewers will know. So we've got R, and I've got 1, I've got 1, I've got 2, so I've got a height of 1, I went to 3. If I want to find this x, I'm going to say that x squared is 1 squared plus 3 squared, so x squared is 10, so x is root 10, so I can call that root 10. So that's your first thing through this question, get your two triangles written out. Then what I think I would do, I would just write that over here. So step 1, draw your triangles and use Pythagoras. And then step 2, I would just label them up because this is where you'll make a mistake. Okay. So if this is R and this is Q, this is O, this is A, this is H, and on this one, this is O, this is A, and this is H. And maybe just circle them, just so you remember what's going on, so you don't make a little mistake with the numbers, okay? So when you're dealing with R, this is my O, A, and H. And when you're dealing with Q, this is my O, A, and H. I probably should just, I'm going to draw the other one out, this now looks messy to me. But anyway, so first question, what is sine R? Well, that's quite easy, isn't it? Sine R is just opposite over hypotenuse, because I've got sine of whatever is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent, yeah? So I should have put in x and x, you know what I mean? So for this one, it's just opposite over hypotenuse on the R. So there's my R, there's the opposite, there's the hypotenuse, so 1 over root 10. And for Q, there's the angle Q, and this triangle, there's the opposite, there's the hypotenuse, so that's 3 over root 13. So 2 quite easy marks to begin with, you're just doing Pythagoras really. So you're almost getting a mark for knowing what Pythagoras is and a mark for knowing how to do a trig, as you think. And that's both Nat 5, that's 2 Nat 5 skills. So not bad, not bad. This is your new skill. So determine sine Q R. So the first thing we do with these is we go up and we look, well, what is my formula? Well, when you're doing sine, you've got sine cos, cos sine, and you've got AB, 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 and the sign stays the same. The big mistake people make is when they do sine, they switch the sign, but this positive here means that it stays the same. This positive and this negative means that when you've got an add for the cos's, you've got a take away in here. So let's just write that out then. So write our formula out. Come down and say, okay, I tend to write it like this. I do sine and then cos and sine. And then I do AB, so it's Q, R, AB. And these are timesing together. And the sign, because it's sine, stays the same. Sine same, sine same, yeah. And then you just fill it in. So let's do sine Q. There's Q. And the opposite over hypotenuse. Cos of R. That's adjacent over hypotenuse. And cos Q is going to be 2. And sine R1 over root 10. You're just looking at a triangle, just take your time, don't make a silly mistake. And then multiply the top, multiply the bottom. One way to know you've done this right is your denominators should look the same. If your denominators don't look the same, you've probably made a little mistake somewhere, and that's going to give me 130. So denominator stays the same. 9 take away 2 is 7. That's just your fraction numbers. So really, for a higher scale for 3 marks, not a bad question. Because all you've had to do is write an equation out that you're given and then substitute in some fractions. So I do think this is a great question to look out for. Okay, so remember our steps. We draw triangles, we label, and then all we do is we write out the equation. Okay, we're given the equation, don't worry about it. Just make sure you write it out wrong, get those signs. If it's sine, the sign stays the same. Okay, just take your time to write it out wrong. Write the equation, and the very last thing you would do would be to substitute. And yeah, we'll try one more. Then we'll get 2 in on this video. Same over here. So again, as I say in other videos, read the question, pause it, and then see if your answer is the same as mine. I'll just set it up here. So give it a wee pause and have a look. First thing I'm going to do is label up my triangles. So I need to find this length in here. So that's going to be so x is going to be 2. So that length in there is 2. I'm just going to draw that carefully, just so you can see that that's 2. And then this one here, that whole triangle then, I think I'll just redraw that one. I'll draw that over here. My amazing drawing skills. So yeah, that one, you don't have to do Pythagoras twice this time, but you had to appreciate that was 2 plus 1 to give you the 3. So this has got our triangles now. Cos of P, so cos, that's A over H. It's the same here as well, isn't it? It's just A over H. So for P, there's my P triangle. And I'm going to label up my triangles. I'm going to say that's the adjacent, that's the opposite, and that's the hypotenuse. And for this one, that's Q. So I'm going to say that's the opposite. And I'm sure you know this, but just remember the opposite is always opposite the angle you're looking at. So if I was looking at this angle in here, that would be the opposite. Adjacent is the one that's left out. The hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. That's always hypotenuse. Opposite is opposite the one you're looking at. So for P, there's P. My adjacent is 2, and my hypotenuse is 5. And for Q, my adjacent, I'm just going to go over here, is 3 and root 10. So you can see how it could be easy if you looked at this. I think the big mistake would be folks to say 2 over root 10 and not, if they've not drawn a triangle out properly. Yeah, so for me it was, I didn't just look here and do 2 over root 10, I drew a triangle out again. So be careful with that. So I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to kind of pause the video and do some working as we go. So try the next bit yourself and yeah, check the solution. So that's me written the equation. Now I'm going to substitute. There's my substitution, and again I'm thinking I've done this right because my denominators look like they're going to be the same, and multiply them together. So I've got 3 over root 50 and 2 over root 50 to give me 5 over root 50, and the only difference here is they're going to want you to simplify this so that you can see the 5s. There's probably a simplify to be had, so let's have a look at that. Yeah, so different ways to simplify, but you're thinking we're going to have to cancel, so this becomes root 25 root 2 to end up with 1 over root 2. So I hope that was helpful. I'll do some more videos on this next. Thank you.